Hey, I'm Global Kristen, and I want to talk about this link that I am making between my experience in the rooms of recovery and autism. And it's so interesting because this was back in like 2021. I shared a little bit about this in a different video, but back in 2021, a very close family member was an alcoholic and going through recovery. And I can remember them having these really incredible changes in their lives. Like they were changing so much, and the way that they were able to change was so inspiring. It was almost intoxicating. It was like I was just like, how do you do this? Like, I want to know how to forgive. I want to know how to let things go. I want to know how to not see things so black and white. I want to let go of like relationships that don't serve me. I want to and it's just like all of these things. So they're like, why don't you check out CODA, which stands for Codependence Anonymous? They're like, I heard CODA was really awesome. And I really didn't know anything about codependence or anything like that, but I'm like, I just knew it was called CODA, and I'm like, okay. So I checked out CODA, and oh my God, I was like, I found my people. These were the people who were people pleasers, who, another descriptor is like a chameleon, where you basically can change your stripes and change your skin. You can change everything to match like what you need to be for someone else at any given moment. It's like you basically like become another person that would be like accepted or liked or whatever. So just like all of these things. So being in the rooms of recovery and going through CODA was really transformational for me. And I actually had a everyone has different names for different things. Like some people might call this the dark night of the soul, or an ego death, or whatever. Like I don't know the other names, but it's basically the experience where everything that you once thought to be true is like not what you ever thought. And it's like a very crippling experience. It's a very destabilizing experience. It feels like the best way I can describe it is like everything on my mind just like shattered. It's like a glass ceiling on my mind just shattered, and it was just like pieces, just everything like falling, like my whole life before me, like everything about my life, like who I was, who I married, why I married the person that I married, why I was in the career I was in, why I meet, like it was like everything was brought to the forefront. And it was like whatever story I had had in my head that long crumbled. And it was extremely destabilizing because I was like, oh my God, I'm a shell of a person. I'm like, I don't know who I am. I don't actually know who I am. I don't know what I like. I don't know what I want. I don't know who I am. I don't know, like, if this is true, who am I? Like, it was very, very destabilizing. I felt like a blob. I felt like a newborn baby. I felt like I didn't know how to be a human again. It was just the most terrible experience because I was in a constant state of anxiety, and yeah, a constant state of anxiety. And it was like a very slow process learning, excuse me, learning and discovering who I actually was. So, um, so there I had that experience. And it's really interesting because when I started to learn more about autism and ADHD, after like our marriage therapist brought the topic of neurodivergence up in a session that Sean and I were having, and I started going down this rabbit hole. It's like everything that I was hearing and learning sounded so much like recovery. It sounded so much like things we would talk about in CODA or in Codependence Anonymous. It's like, it sounded so, and I'm like, this is like they're like the same experience. It's like the same experience. They're just like, they just use different words. Like in CODA, they call it being a chameleon. And like the neurodivergent world with autism, they call it masking. They still talk about people pleasing. It's like there are all of these similarities. And it's like, for me, I'm like, it's not that like it was they had it wrong in recovery. Like it's like it was if they were right. It's true. I was codependent. Like I was codependent, and it, like, the things that they taught helped me, and it worked for me, and it made sense. And what I realize is that, like, because they call it, like, they're like, it's like addiction or like whatever, codependence or whatever. It's like, it's a disease of the mind. It's a disease. Alcoholism is a disease. Addiction is a disease. And you can be addicted to more than just drugs. You can be addicted to people. You can be addicted to shopping. You can be addicted to food. You can be addicted to video games. You could be addicted to sex. You can be addicted to people pleasing. You can be addicted to, you can be addicted to so many things. It's basically like you finding your way to cope. And I'm like recognizing for myself the similarities of being in the rooms of recovery and learning about myself as someone who is autistic and has ADHD. And I'm like, why are they so similar? And what I find is that I didn't know when I was in the rooms of recovery that what I was actually struggling with was autism and ADHD. I thought that my struggle like ended at codependence. I thought that was like the bottom, like that was like the landing point. And it wasn't that I had a disease of the mind. It was that I was autistic and had ADHD and didn't know it. And it's like, this makes so much sense. This is why I believe that so many neurodivergent people end up in recovery because they obtain addictions to learn how to cope in a world that wasn't designed for them. And many of them are in there, and it's not that program doesn't work. Program works for many people. I was one of them that it worked for. But what I feel like is that they don't know this fundamental part of themselves. It's not that they're diseased and they have a disease of the mind. This is my opinion. This is probably very controversial for people who are in recovery right now, because when you're in recovery, it's kind of becomes like the new Bible. Like, I'm not saying this to be controversial. This is my experience, and it doesn't mean that my experience is right for you or true for you. What I am doing is identifying a link for myself. And I feel like there are many people that are in the rooms of recovery that are probably neurodivergent. They are probably autistic or have ADHD, and they don't know that part. They don't know that part. It doesn't mean that like recovery can't help them, because like I said, it did help me. But what's really healing and helpful for me is that, like, it's what you're born with. Like, you're born autistic, you're born with ADHD. Like, it's not like you don't catch it. It's not like a cold. You don't have a traumatic experience and become autistic. It's not in the water that you drink. And so it really just helps me understand, like, I just view the world differently. And this is why being in the rooms of recovery felt so good. Initially it didn't, but like when you finally are like working the program and stuff like that, it feels good because you're in the company of a whole bunch of people that are like you. You're with a whole bunch of people that the world sees as misfits. You're with a whole bunch of people that think so expansively. And it's like being in recovery was one of the best experiences of my life. And the only reason why I left recovery or transitioned out of recovery or, was just like, I needed more like loving talk, like, like saying that I had a disease didn't feel good for me. Like, it worked for a while. And then at some point I got to this place where I'm like, like just the way that they talk about certain things, like, didn't work for me, but I got what I needed. So anyway, I'm just sharing that because if you are someone who struggles with addiction or you're in recovery, like, just be curious about autism, be curious about ADHD, just be curious. It doesn't mean that you have it. I'm just saying be curious, because me learning this information about myself dramatically changed my life. It dramatically changed my life. And it's like, had I known this, so much more would have made sense to me. Like, just so much more would have made sense to me in my life. And it's just so many things are clicking. Just so many things are clicking. So it was very helpful for me to recognize that about myself. I'm actually very grateful that my angels and God took me on this journey to have experienced the rooms of recovery and also what it's like outside of recovery, because it gives me a really unique perspective that other people may not have. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm me. That's why I've had the experiences that I've had. That's why I'm Global Kristen. This is my gift to the world. This is my experience gets to be a gift to the world. So take what you want, leave the rest. I love you. I hope this helps you. And just stay curious. That's the biggest takeaway. Just stay curious. And I love you. Stay global.